Hello children. So today in the chapter body movements we are going to study that how human beings are able to move the different body parts. Now you know that we have joints all throughout our body in different body parts. Like our arms have joints, shoulder joint, elbow, wrist. In hand also, our fingers are connected to our palms with the joints. And then two more joints are there in each of the fingers. Thumb has only one joint. But all these joints allow different kinds of movements. Similarly, we have joints in other parts of the body as well. Now, let us talk about what are joints. So, joint is a point where two things, or maybe you can say uh, two bones, are joining, and these joints allow movements in that particular part. So, wherever we have joints in our body, some kind of flexibility is there. Now, what exactly are joints? So, these are points of contact between two bones, or maybe a bone and a cartilage. And muscles, bones, and joints together, they help in the body movements. Now, let's talk about the different types of joints which human body has. So, we have fibrous or fixed joints, which are immovable joints, cartilaginous or slightly movable joints, and synovial or freely movable joints. So, these types of joints have different properties, and therefore based on the properties of these types of joints, our different body parts behave differently, or we can say they move differently. Now first let's talk about the fibrous joints. These are immovable joints. They are fixed joints found in upper jaw, cranium, that is skull. And in these kind of joints, the bones are connected with fiber, and this does not allow movement. There is no open space between these two bones, or we can say that there is no bone cavity in these kinds of joints. Now, the second type of joints are the cartilaginous or slightly movable joints. So, limited movements are allowed in these kinds of joints, and bones are joined by cartilages. And these type of joints, they are found in vertebral column. So we can bend these bones which are joined with the cartilaginous joints, but not very freely. Now the third type of joints are synovial joints. So these joints, they allow considerable movements, and fluid filled synovial cavity is present between the two bones. These kind of joints are found in limbs, for example, knee joint, elbow joint, shoulder joint. So these are some examples of synovial joints. Now these synovial joints can be further divided into different types of joints depending upon the way they move. So first we will discuss about the ball and socket joint, which is a type of synovial joint. So these joints, they allow the greatest range of movement. In this type of joint, head of bone fits into a socket of another bone, and they are held together by ligaments and tendons. So the examples of these kinds of joints are the shoulder and the hip joint. Now the second type of synovial joint is the hinge joint. So in these kind of joints, bones can move only along one axis to bend or extend, like in doors. For example, knee joint, elbow joint, ankle joint, fingers, toes. So it only allows back and forth movement. They allow only bending and straightening movements. So this bending is known as flexion and straightening is known as extension. Now another kind of synovial joint is pivotal joint. In this, one bone pivots within another bone that forms a ring. It allows movement around a single axis, like back and forth movement or rotary movement, and it is present in our neck region. When we turn our head from side to side or when we move our head up and down, you must have observed that we cannot do it in complete rotations. It only allows rotation, we can say, in semicircles or partial rotation or movement. Now, another type of synovial joints are gliding joints. In this joint, the articular surface of bone it looks flat and move on the other bone in slipping movement. Now, the next type of synovial joint is ellipsoidal joint. Ellipsoidal joints, such as the wrist joint, they allow all types of movements except pivotal movements. Hence, we can say that the joints are just the points at which movements are possible. Now, these joints, we cannot see these joints from outside. The body of the human beings contain the skeletal system or the framework which gives shape and rigidity to our body. Now, what is the skeletal system? The skeletal system forms the framework of the body and it is composed of bones, cartilages, and joints. So, we have already discussed about joints. Now, we will discuss about cartilages and bones in our next video.